All right, Mr. D, let's talk about controlling those insects. So, dormant oil and spraying. So, what should we be doing? Because those insects are going to come.
Yeah, now is the time to use dormant oils.
Okay.
And you need to do it pretty quickly. And what the dormant oils will do is you can use them until bud break on your fruit trees, and it's very kind of thick oil. It's thicker than the summer oils. It's more persistent. You can put it out there, and it's really good at controlling a lot of the soft-bodied insects like aphids and some of the scale insects and some caterpillars even. And the way it operates, it simply suffocates the insects. It clogs their breathing spiracles, the little breathing tubes that they have, and that's the way it kills the insects. So I don't know whether it's considered organic or not, but I would say that you might get away with using oils and still consider it organic. But it should reduce the amount of pesticides that you would have to apply for the fruits that require, in my opinion, pesticides.
Right. Agree with that.
By taking some of them out early. It also has some, kills some eggs that, if you happen to put the oil over an egg mass, that it interferes with the hatching of the eggs, and so that helps also.
Okay. So I guess you have to get good coverage.
It's important to have good coverage. It's very important to have good coverage. And I would probably go on out there. I would do that before I pruned, and it's time to prune now too. But I would probably go on out there and spray everything, and then go on in and prune it after that. After bud break and prior to blooming, you can go with a summer oil, so lighter oil, if you want to do that again. Try to reduce the amount of insect pressure that you'll have later on, maybe.
Okay. Let me ask you this: so for fruit trees, can you spray dormant oil on your fruit trees?
Yes, that's what I'm primarily talking
okay.
about. Fruits, apples, pears, peaches, plums, nectarines, things like that. That's primarily what I'm talking about.
Okay, because I know, some of the folks at the garden centers, of course, recommend using the dormant oil for your ornamental plantings.
I'm sure that would be okay for the same reasons.
Yeah. Okay. So what are some insects we need to really be looking out for, though, for the most part?
Well, like I said, what we were trying to reach are insect eggs.
Right.
I can give you an example of one that's about to pop out here. If you have a crabapple tree or wild cherry trees, the eastern tent caterpillar is about to pop out here. And if you can cover that egg mass with a good dormant oil, then you should interfere with a number of eastern tent caterpillars that come out. But aphids overwinter in the bark of trees. Some of the aphid eggs will overwinter. A lot of insects' eggs are laid under the bark or in the bark, and they, if they've been able to survive the freezing temperatures and the ice and snow, maybe the dormant oil will take them on out. But
Which leads me to this question. So we've had a winter, a real winter. Will that have any effect on any of the insect pests, you think? Because I've gotten that question a time or two.
I've never seen it have much of an effect. And you can, if you don't believe me, go to Canada or Alaska in the summertime. And the insects are all over the place up there. The mosquitoes are huge, and so I doubt very seriously. Sure, it's going to kill some, but insects are pretty adaptable, and they have the ability to survive even under bad, cold winter conditions.
Yeah, so probably not that much of an effect.
I wouldn't count on it. Don't count on it.
Okay. What about on your fire ants?
Fire ants, this year we may actually have pushed the line back. We got single digits up in my neck of the woods, up in Lauderdale County. You may actually have pushed that line of fire ants back to the south a little bit. They'll come back. They'll move back north. But the hybrid fire ants that we have, they're a cross between the red fire ant and the black fire ant, Solenopsis invicta and Solenopsis richteri. It's a cross between those two, and they are actually more cold hardy than either the black or the red. They have that hybrid vigor, and makes them a little more able to withstand cold temperatures. But when the ground freezes, if it'll freeze down to 12 inches, it's going to take that mound out, And I don't know how deep the ground froze this year. Probably didn't freeze to 12 inches.
No.
It probably didn't stay it didn't stay cold long enough. But it might help us with fire ants a little bit.
So back to the dormant oil. So I guess we just mix that, of course, according to the label.
Follow the
but
label
mix it
directions.
with water, I guess.
Right.
You have to agitate it a little bit, I'm sure. And
Just
probably.
right, shake it up and agitate, and make sure you get good coverage. And it's one of the insecticides that you won't actually see any benefit. I mean, as far as with your eyes, but you put it out there, and it's doing some damage to the insects that you don't really see. If you see scale insects, now if you see white peach scale or some of the scale insects that show up, you can actually see, with your eyes, you can see the damage that the oil does to those insects.
Okay.
And soon, very soon, I mean, we're going to start to see aphids and things are going to start hatching out very quickly.
You're right. Just like we're sitting around waiting on spring, but so are they.
That's right.
Yeah, so they're going to be right behind in numbers for the most part.
Exactly right.
Wow. The insect world is, I'm always curious about,
They're pretty tough critters.
Know when to come out and when to multiply and all that kind of good stuff.
Pretty tough critters.
They're pretty tough. And I know the scales, and you know about the crepe myrtle bark scale. I wonder if the winter had any effect on them.
I wouldn't count on it. I really wouldn't. I mean, we've had a tough winter this year. But like I said, in my career, I can't think of an insect that's really been hurt really bad by cold winter temperatures. Now, you'll see years that some insects will be more of a problem than they've normally been. I can think of 2 or 3 insects that had explosions, and I've only seen that insect like once in my lifetime at real high numbers. A cigar case bear down in Grand Bay, Alabama, one year completely covered all of the pecan trees that weren't in a managed orchard. And then I saw Oclacanium scale at just unbelievable numbers one year when I lived down in Mobile. And I don't know what triggered that. I don't think a cold winter had anything to do with that down there.
Right.
I've not seen anything like that. I haven't seen a phenomena like that since I've been here in Tennessee. But I did say some years the Oclacanium in the early spring is a lot worse than other years.
Yeah, it sure is.
And I don't know whether that correlates to how severe the winter was or not. I doubt it.
Okay. How about this? How do you pick a dormant oil? There's a bunch of dormant oil sprays there at these garden centers, nurseries. So
just look at a dormant oil. Probably they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah, I would think so.
They probably have pretty much the same concentration, and I would just make sure the most important thing is to make sure you use dormant oils during the wintertime.
Right.
When the trees or plants are dormant. And then use the summer oils or the superior oils in the summertime. You don't want. You can get away with using the summer oil or superior oil in the wintertime, but you can't get away with using dormant oil in the summertime. If you use Volk oil in the summertime, you're going to do some damage to the plants you put in.
All right, thanks, Mr. D. We appreciate that information.